So welcome everybody, my name is Sally Dymond and we have a very special call tonight. We have a guest with us, Andrew Fitzsimmons, and this is his beautiful son, Taj. And my background is in health. I've been with ASEA for 4.5 years. I'm a double diamond and I sit on the medical board of the company. So I was introduced to this technology about 5 years ago, and I was super skeptical. I didn't really believe anything that people were telling me. It wasn't in Australia yet. And I kind of sat on the fence for a long time, just watching, not really believing. And some of you sitting there today, either live or on the recording, are probably in the same position where someone has invited you here to have a listen and to look at this. And I just want to say to have open ears and just say thank you to the person that invited you, because I'm going to share some information this evening that it might trigger you. It might be something that you've never ever heard before. And so just sit there with open ears and listen to what we have to say. And we're going to hear from Andrew and his story with his son, which is nothing short of amazing. 4 years now into this journey for myself, I hear these stories all the time, every day. In fact, tonight someone called me with an amazing blood test result from blood platelets that were in terrible state, that have gone back to normal within just a short week. So I believe in miracles. I believe in there's no such thing as a coincidence. You're in the right place at the right time for whatever the reason is. So the choices today define who you are tomorrow. And if you change one thing, just watch how your life will change. And that can go for many, many things. So not just about what we're going to share tonight, but about all sorts of different avenues. There's always a choice that you have in life, and you can go on one road or you can go on another road, and there's always different things that happen at the ends of those roads. So what we're going to share to you tonight is just one road that might be an option. So let's hope my slideshow is going to cooperate here. So as I said, I was a newly mated Olympian. I was a swimmer. I just missed the Olympics in 1992. And I got very sick with glandular fever myself, and spent many months lying in bed and wondering what the heck was wrong with me. So it was through that I embarked on a career of alternative medicine, and I studied acupuncture, massage, all the body treatments that I could possibly think of. I traveled the world through Thailand, went to China. And then, of course, after 10 years of being in private practice, I left Australia and I went in search of a real job, landed up as a pharmaceutical rep on the other side of the fence. And I learned some really crazy, interesting things in that side of the world. And I really only lasted about 6 weeks. It didn't gel with who I was as a person. And I didn't feel I was capable or educated enough to sit in front of a doctor and tell them about a drug that I'd only learnt, 2 days worth of training on, that then the doctor was then telling their patients they should take. So I quickly swerved out of that and went and joined a cruise ship, and I sailed around the world as their head therapist, which was an amazing job. And from there, I got to travel with the women's tennis for 5 years on the women's tennis circuit as part of their medical team. And I got to touch all the famous women's tennis players that you can probably think of. So I didn't get to touch the men, sadly, but just the women. From there, I had my children in the States. I married an American and came back to Australia 10 years ago. So I have been here for 10 years. And I have 2 children that are 11 and 13, and they're massive ASEA fans now. We use the product on everything that happens in our house. It's our one-stop thing that we put on just about everything. So you're going to hear from an extreme case of ill health, but we use it on anything from the acute stage as well. So without raving on about too much about myself, I'm going to ask you a few short questions here today. Do you need support with a health challenge? Do you want to live younger for longer? And are you looking for a better life with more money? So the first 2 questions, that's what I do for a job. I'm really supporting people with health challenges, whether it's physical, mental, or emotional. And of course, I think if I ask that question, do you want to live younger longer? You would all say yes. So I had someone today tell me that they wanted to live till they were 120. And I kind of asked, why on earth would you want to live that long? And, when you look at the state of health that people are in past about 75 today, I don't really want to be one of those people that are in a nursing home or that are struggling with their health. So for the time I am here on earth, I want to be alive and living, not half comatose or half in a state that I would call not really living. So we've found something here today that's going to support that process of life. We're talking about something very fundamental that goes down into the cellular deep into the cellular level, and it's actually the element that keeps us alive. So, but the first question I'll say here is, what is really making us sick in today's world that no one's really talking about? I'm very passionate about all of these things. We've got anything from processed foods that are sitting on the tables in most homes at the moment. Probably at this time of night, as dinner is being dished up, there's food that doesn't look like food anymore. It's processed, it contains all sorts of non-food-like substances. And if it's coming out of packets, then our body has to try and recognize that and digest it. Then the toxins that we're exposed to in our home, that we're putting on our countertops, we're putting them on our body, we're putting them in our mouth, and our skin is the largest organ. So anything that we're surrounded with and that is touching our skin has to be processed through our liver. And our livers are toxic, and it's like a toxic dump going on in some people, and they're wondering why they're tired, they've got insomnia, they've got brain fog, they're irritable, all these symptoms that, you know, you go to the doctor about and they really don't have an answer for. We've got viruses, we're spraying pesticides. If we're not spraying them in our yard, our neighbour is, or it's going on our food supply. So that's another real big major concern out there, is what is actually happening to the real food that is being grown. I know when I travel to New Zealand, beautiful looking farms and properties over there, it's green and it's lush. But the sad thing is that they're using so many chemicals and sprays that the people living on those farms are actually really, really sick. And of course, we've got parasites going on in our gut. Some we need, and some are just causing massive havoc. So, you know, the medical system doesn't really know how to address a lot of these problems. And a lot of the illnesses coming out today are based on a lot of this toxin buildup. The other big factors that are starting to emerge now that I spend a lot of time reading about is, of course, our dirty electricity coming out of our power points. We have 5G about to hit us. We have Wi-Fi, and kids that are attached to their gadgets in alarming rates. They're putting the Wi-Fi into their ears, and it's terrifying. I spoke to 3 people this week that had tumours in their brain. So, you know, if you asked me 10 years ago, did we ever know anyone that was dealing with those conditions? And I don't really remember it. I don't remember hearing about so much illness and so many problems that people are facing in their life. So if we're not dealing with a health problem, we know someone close to us is. And so, you know, I've become very passionate now about sharing what we know, because I believe it's a miracle and a gift, and every single human being needs to be protected in some way, especially from these things that are coming. We can't control probably 5G hitting our neighbourhood. They're already setting up towers in our neighbourhood in Redcliffe, and they're ugly, and they're going to change the scape of our landscape. There's many people out there excited about 5G and, you know, to be fast, but really in life we need to slow down. We don't need to go any faster, because the going fast is what's causing massive stress. And that's the other big thing that I'm passionate about, is reducing people's stress. So if you're looking at the screen there and you've got some of these symptoms, I would suggest starting to turn your Wi-Fi off at night, starting to change a few things to do with this whole element that's going on the screen, limiting your time, taking your Bluetooth earpieces out of your ears, monitoring what your head is feeling like if you've got them in. Anything from vertigo, headaches, brain fog, all of those things are starting to show up, and it's because of this Wi-Fi going into our brain. So there's things that you can do in your house that I certainly practice all of these things. It's being grounded. That's one of the biggest things. When we're constantly on gadgets, under artificial lights, in rooms with not fresh air coming into them, and we're on that go, go, go train, you need to get out into nature, and just 10 to 15 minutes a day in nature, grounding yourself, will totally change your life. So I make a habit every day to be outside hosing my yard, bare feet, and in the garden. If I'm not doing that, I'm at the beach and I'm going for a walk on the beach with no shoes on, or I'm swimming in the ocean. So try and embrace some part of being outside. If you work in the city, find a park, take your shoes off and just sit. You will find you will have a much better sleep. And if you are suffering any discomfort, it will drastically help in reducing that. But it's got to be done daily and consistently. We use oils. Of course, I'm a big natural food fanatic. Everything is made from scratch in my house. Sterilizer is something that we have to plug into our home. We had our house tested. It helps to take care of dirty electricity. I have a Blue Shield device, which is the black one down the base there, and that's scalar energy. So that helps to harmonize frequencies in your home. But tonight we're here to really talk about ASEA and what that is and how it works, and of course to hear from Andrew. So life is short. I had a client today that I saw who has just turned 60, and I actually met her 22 years ago, or actually 28 years ago when I first started. She was one of my very first clients. And we were kind of laughing and joking about the fact that she was 60 and we can't believe what's happened. But, you know, and then she said, how long have I been home? Well, I've been back for 10 years, and I was laughing about my 10-year cycle of life. I do something for 10 years, I get burnt out, I go gung-ho, and then I kind of change course and add another arm into what I'm doing. So, you know, life is short. And she said, well, really, I've only got another good 10 to 15 years left of life, because at age 75, things really do start to change and decline. So when you look at it like that, life is really, really short. So just a few years ago, about when I started ASEA, I was pretty sad and sorry for myself. I was working way too hard. I had small children and I was just on that roller coaster. And I just thought, you know what, there's got to be more to life here. So I lay in bed one day, my skin was really red and irritated. I was a bit sick, I was run down, I had fatigue. And I thought, you know what, screaming out to the universe, there's got to be something else. And it was right at that time that I thought, you know what, I wonder if that gel might help my skin. And I thought the only way I can really know is if I get off the skeptical fence and try it. So I did just that. I ordered some product, I tried it, and 4 years later, I'm living the life that I would never dream of, because when you open one door and you close one door, and a million doors open. So I was looking for a tribe of people, and I was wanting to spend more time with my family. So ASEA and the opportunity of being able to share this has given me the opportunity to meet amazing people around the world and hear amazing stories every day of health. So my mission was always to serve and help people on a big scale and be on a global level out in the world traveling and sharing health. So I get to do that now from my computer. I know there's people tuning in from all over the world right now, and I'm excited to share what we're about to share here. So when I learned that ASEA's mission was to better people's lives and be a force for good in the world, that landed pretty well with me. And then I started to go and I met some of the people involved. So I met the founders, Vertus and Tyler Norton, and these two gentlemen here are absolutely the most heartfelt guys. Vertus was the CEO of Kraft Foods. He's from traditional business, and his son Tyler was in the insurance finance industry, and they really came across ASEA in a really unique way. I'm not going to go into that tonight. You can see it at ASEAGenesisVideo.com, and I highly recommend you watch that and learn the story of how this actually began, because this is not something that just kind of branched out of something else. It's something very unique and special. So the vision of ASEA is to become the recognized global leader in cellular health and redox-based technologies and achieve global distribution of ASEA's life-changing products, opportunity, and culture. So we're talking about a chemistry and a science here. So it's not anything new. This is a science, and it's based on very deep, complicated science, but I'm not going to bore you to death with science. I'm just going to show you that it exists and that it's something that is happening within our cells when we're asleep, when we're awake, and it only happens while we're alive, of course. So I want you to know that redox biochemistry is one of the fastest growing areas of science in the world. If you were to Google redox science or redox textbooks, you will get pages and pages of the science of redox. And ASEA is the only brand in the world that supplies these active redox signaling molecules. So the breakthrough really came in that ASEA, the company, was able to stabilize this process that occurs in our cell in little bags of salt water, because guess what? You're made of salt water. 70% of your body is saline. You think about everything that comes out of you when you sweat and you cry, and your tears, they're all of a saline solution. So if I was to break you all the way back into the cellular component here, we're made of these bags of salt water. Inside the bags of salt water, we have our mitochondria. Our mitochondria produce ATP, which is energy, and in this process, it spins off our reductants and our oxidants. These molecules are involved in every major system of the body, and they're foundational to cellular health and healing. So if you want more scientific explanation of exactly that, then please go and study a little bit about the cell and reductants and oxidants, and that's where you'll find some great information on a website called theredoxdoc.com. He will go into great detail about the antioxidants, the oxidants, and the reductants there. So you can go through and have a little bit of a look there. But if I was to take you and break you down into the many systems that form you, the musculoskeletal system, respiratory system, cardiovascular system, what else have we got? immune system, endocrine system. There's lots and lots of systems that make you up. But if I was to take just one of those systems and break it apart into organs, our cardiovascular system, for instance, will break down into our heart, our arteries, and if we were to take those independent things and break those down into tissues, take the tissues, break them down into cells, take our cells and break those down, like I just showed you on that slide, we have redox, reductants and oxidants. And this is the main system of our body that sends those messages to detect, repair, replace, and heal. But something happens as we get older. So from when we're little to when we're old, the aging process kicks in. And it really kicks in at about the age of 40, because at that age, guess what happens? We're starting to produce fewer and fewer of these molecules, about half. So by 50, I always say we're 50% dead and 50% alive. So between 40 and 50, depends how well you've taken care of yourself and how much you've kind of partied and lived hard in your younger years, you're going to start to feel decline. It might look like your eyes going, your knees going, your joints going, your back's going, and you're deciding to go back and do some exercise. So if you're going back as a 40-year-old and trying to do triathlons and run and do a marathon, you're not recovering like you did when you were younger. So why is that? Why is it that we just can't do that? Because this ability to detect inflammation, to detect the damage that's occurring is still there, because we're feeling it. We're feeling the signs and the symptoms. But what's not really working anymore is that cycle. What happens next is where it repairs or it kills the damaged cell and a new healthy cell can form. That's not happening as fast as it does when we were a child, where we're hurting ourselves, falling over, bumping, mum just ignores it and you get up and the kid's better by the morning. Doesn't quite happen, especially when we get into that 60 and 70-year-old bracket. We're really struggling to actually recover. So we're fatigued, we've got problems in multiple systems of our body, and our body is really starting to break down. So we're starting to really see those signs of aging. So if we had something that we could actually boost our cellular function and that communication so that those messages are sent and that repair mechanism kicks in like it did when we were a kid, that's what we're talking about. That's the foundation of what ASEA has been able to do, is repair, is put back into the body that ability to detect, repair, replace, and then protect, protecting from virus and bacteria, and also replacing. So if we have a rogue or a damaged cell that's in the body, we don't want it replicating. We want the own natural system of the body to kill that damaged cell and a new healthy cell forms. So that's the basic element of what we're talking about. I could go into great detail about it, but I'm not going to do that tonight. But how do they make the product? So lucky for me, I've been to their manufacturing process now about 3 times. And each time I go, I'm always astounded at how much it grows, changes, and how much they're upgrading their systems to be faster and better, more efficient. But what they do is they take pristine salt water. It's the same as found inside your cells. And the salt water is broken down into free floating atoms of sodium, chloride, hydrogen, and oxygen. They kind of pull it apart. And through a patented technology, which is where the secret lies, they then restructure and stabilize these molecules into a structure of a redox molecule. So for me to really get this in the early days was really difficult, because our brain's not wired to think that, to look at pool water, to look at redox water, to look at alkaline water, to look at, New York City tap water and Brisbane tap water. They will all look completely different under a microscope. What's different about this stabilized structured redox molecule is it's completely different to any other type of water out there, because it's not water anymore. It's stabilized redox molecules. And so when you understand this principle, that's where the secret of what they did really, really happened. Science could take this process through and make it redox, but they couldn't keep it as redox. It's only when Dr. Gary Samuelson discovered how he could keep it as a redox molecule, we could put it into a bottle and we could consume it all over the world. So this process and technology became available 10 years ago. And we have our 10th anniversary next year. So lucky for me, I've been drinking it for 4 years, and I can tell you if it was salt water, I'd be in the renal unit and I'd be very sick. But life is very different for us now in our family, and we live by it, swear by it. My entire extended family takes it every single day and have for 4 years. So we have 3 redox products. The first product was the liquid, and then it took them 5 years to make a stable topical gel. And the gel is what we use to put on our skin. So it's the only product I put on my body now. I use no other products on my body. It goes on my face as my skincare routine. It goes on my thyroid, my stomach, any type of issue that might occur in our body or to our body. We drink the liquid, and then they came out with the skincare range, which is a super strong Redox, which is that little blue tube there, which is the serum. So that's what we use on small, fine lines, wrinkles, bumps, bruises, something that's very small. It's more concentrated than the other two, and so you get a really, really big impact on a small area. So ASEA has funded millions and millions of dollars in research. I know there's $7 million alone in safety studies, so I can assure you it is 100% completely safe. You cannot react or be allergic to it because it is exactly what your body makes. So it can work in conjunction with any treatment, any medication, and you do not need to worry. Most of the process actually occurs in your mouth, and as it starts to go down your digestive tract, as soon as the product hits your body, it becomes active and it goes to work to start replenish and get that communication happening from cell to cell. So they have done many science studies. You can also find those at ASEAscience.com. And Bioagilix certifies that every bottle and tube of the product is containing active redox molecules. So you can Google that company and see just what they stand for as well. So what we've learned so far in one of the studies there is that it will turn on genetic activity in 5 systems of the body: digestive health, hormone modulation, cardiovascular, immune, and inflammatory. So when I'm dealing with people, at least 1 or 2 of those systems of the body are dysfunctional. So if we can get them to turn on, be active, and actually be talking and communicating in the right language, then we find the inflammation can start to decrease, the health of the digestive tract improves, hormones start to regulate, and cardiovascular and blood flow increases. So that gel will increase the blood flow by 50%. So that was one of the biggest factors for me as a therapist, is I'm always trying to bring life and blood into an area. So now I can tell someone who's using ASEA, you can see it in their eyes. It's like you've turned the lights on inside of them and everything is now speaking in the right language. I was out in the garden, and it's a bit like when you have no fertilizer and no water and nothing going into the plants, they look kind of droopy and dead. Well, that's what half the people look like walking around the street today. They're just not alive anymore. But if you give them fertilizer and you give them sun and you give them water and you give them, you know, what they actually need, it's amazing what happens in a few days' time to a plant, and a human is no different. And we're starting to see that actually turn on and wake up, and you can see that in people's eyes, in their skin, in their energy, in their mood, in their sleep. So if you're sitting there feeling half dead, you know, why wouldn't you try this? It's empowering athletes in performance and recovery. So I say it takes a really sick person into health. It takes a healthy person into feeling amazing. It takes an athlete into recovering and improving their performance. As a swimmer, we used to swim 4 hours a day. That's a lot for a 50-meter swimmer. I swam 1 lap, took 1 breath, and it took me about 25 seconds. But I was out there in the water for 4 hours a day, plus running, plus gym. And my body was absolutely always in pain. So if we have something like this that can power us through and make us recover, it's life-changing for athletes. We have a number of Olympic athletes, endurance athletes, athletes of all types that are using ASEA. But we're revitalizing and renewing our skin at every level. So there's nowhere that you cannot use these products. You can literally put them everywhere where your fingers go. And of course, it works in perfect conjunction with nutrition. So when you've got a healthy, thriving nutrition going into your cell, what the Redox is doing is helping to transport information and that communication between the cells. So it's a bit like having a builder. You're building a new house, and they've got all the materials delivered on site. Someone needs to actually direct where those materials are going to go, and you need the labor, and the laborers to come in and actually build it. That's what the Redox is doing. It's the labor inside your cells doing the heavy lifting from cell to cell and communicating what actually needs to happen from each system of the body, from one to the next. So we need both. So in this picture here, there's a number of my friends now. They're all global. They live all over the place. But there's a number of people here that were seriously, seriously sick. So sick that they were nearly dead. And now they're out sharing the mission and the molecules because the doctor's not going to tell you about it. And sadly, you know, I understand the medical system. They're in a really sticky place. They're owned and run and educated by the big pharma. And big pharma is a really, really big, powerful house. We need them, and we also need emergency medicine. But what we really need is for the two worlds to meet, where we can support the body during treatment, and when we need treatment, we need treatment and we need things to help us recover faster. So, you know, a doctor's perspective, they're studying so much, they spend a long time studying, they then spend their whole time treating patients. They don't actually have the time to learn about everything that's out there. So this is not distributed through the big pharma model, and you'll see that in the video why, because big pharma did try to buy this technology when it first became available, and their mission was to offer a lot of money to the founders, Vertus and Tyler, and they were going to close it down the next day. A huge sum of money, close the product down. That means that people don't have access to something that could potentially help heal them. And as sad as that is, you can Google all sorts of information there. Be careful when you use Google now, because Google is now owned by big pharma. So a lot of the really good information that people need to be reading is being squashed by the pharmaceuticals because they want you on their train taking their medicines. So I'm not an anti-medical person, but I'm just a realist. And as I said, it's about combining the two together and giving people the option where they can use something safe that supports them in conjunction with what they're doing. So on that note, ASEA and Renew 28 are not intended to prevent, diagnose, treat or cure any disease or medical condition. We will leave that to the medical profession. What we are doing though is just giving the body what it needs so it can do what it's designed to do, and it's designed to thrive and be alive. So right now I am going to introduce our special guest, Andrew. Andrew, if you want to unmute yourself, please. I actually heard Andrew's story for the first time at the Gold Coast. I think it was last year or earlier this year. Yeah. And it was very emotional for Andrew on stage to share this, and you'll understand why in a moment, but it touched every single person in the room. I don't think there was a dry eye in the house, and I get goosebumps every time I think about it. But like I said, it's every single day now I hear a story like this, and it's not just a one-off case. It's not just someone who was lucky. It's someone who listened and did and combined all that, you know, that he was given and told. So on that note, Andrew, would you like to start? Tell us how life was. Oh, this slideshow is going to go really fast because I don't know how to stop this automation. Yeah, tell us how it all began.
Yeah, so it's about 2 years ago that it all kind of began. But before that, we were having a good life. We really liked working a bit and travelling and having holidays and camping a lot more. And we had a big trip. We went up to the Whitsundays, and it was going good. But we come back, and my mum and dad were staying at our place, and they kind of knew something was wrong with Taj, and we knew something was wrong. And we went and did a lot of tests, medical tests, blood tests, and nothing was coming back. They were all like, yeah, he's fine. And it wasn't getting any better. And then one day he was rushed to hospital, and he had an emergency operation, and it was on his head, and he had too much pressure in his brain, and it was just massive headaches. He was just out of it. And so yeah, that was a big rushed operation, and it was a life-saving one. And then about 2 days later, he was transferred to the Brisbane hospital, where we're from the Gold Coast. And that's where they put a shunt in his head, which drains all the fluid. So they were pretty major operations, and we stayed in hospital, I don't know, too long, but probably a week or so for him to recover. And we just thought, okay, well, that was the problem. We come back to the Gold Coast, and maybe about 2 weeks or so later, he was then rushed back to hospital. It was just test and test. We knew every department in the hospital, a lot of big names that we didn't really want to be associated with, but every team was kind of doing their little bit to see what it was. He was a bit of a mystery child. And yeah, he had a few more biopsies, which were massive operations, and they were very horrific. One was on his backbone, and they pulled it off and tried to get him there to see what the problem was, but never found anything. So that was in September 2000, and about 2 years ago. And it wasn't until February 2018 that Taj was diagnosed with rogue cells in his brain and spine. So they were the cells that, yeah, were in the oncology department. Everyone can work that out. And that was the department we didn't want to be in. In the meantime, if I look out my window right here, my mate Rodney, he's a naturopath, and you know, he'd done a bit of work with us over the years. He he suggested that we have a look at ASEA. He'd been using it for a while with a very similar situation with himself. He had problem downstairs somewhere, and he was getting really good results. So we looked at it. We did a 3-way call with probably a few guys that are on the call tonight, and we'd already studied it. We knew we needed something to complement what we were going to have to go through with the medical treatment. And that's when we got stuck into it. So that was about February last year, 2018. So.
Awesome. And so just talk us through then what you thought. Did you tell the doctors what you were doing when you added in ASEA?
Yeah, we did. But we did a lot of research as well, and we knew that there was a lot of people that were using the Redox with the kind of treatment that we were going to use. So we did, and they did the right thing, and they said, look, we want to make sure it doesn't, cause the other treatment any harm. But we never really got an answer, and we're like, well, hang on a minute, we're going to do something to complement it. So with the second lot of treatment Taj was going to get, it basically goes in and wrecks every cell in your body. And we're a bit like yourself, like, there's the time for the medical field, but there's also another way that you can look at things. So it didn't matter what they were going to say, we were definitely going to be doing that. And eventually we never got an answer, but I'll talk about that in a minute. So we got onto it, and the first lot of treatment that he had to do was 6 weeks of like laser beam, I guess, to the head and spine. We're freaking out big time. And we got the gel, rubbed all the gel on him, used liquid. We only started off really low, and it was actually only 30 mils twice a day, which is probably next to nothing. We definitely should have done a lot more, but probably a bit uneducated back then. And so the side effects from what he'd done can be really horrific. But even his skin, he just looked really brown. He looked like he'd been at the beach for a long time, because a lot of kids really blister, anyone blisters, and you get a really lot of bad situations. But he just looked very tanned, and kept his hair for a long time. But 6 weeks straight of that, it was horrific. He kind of got better. We had another 6 weeks break, had a holiday, and we just went camping. Didn't do much. We were really kind of stuck in a pretty horrible situation. And then I guess you'd call it the big thing come, and that was like the kind of chemical crap, I guess. And that was, the first month wasn't too bad, and then it just kind of got worse and worse. But he did really good. And so for eight months, it was a really bad time. But he definitely looked a lot better than all the other kids in the hospital. And we knew we were doing something right. And we started studying a lot about the ASEA, so we knew we were on the right track. And we did a lot of other natural kind of treatments. And so basically my wife, she lived in Brisbane for the year. And then come to December 2018, and we knew he was good, but it was really nice to get the news that he was all clear. And everyone was always amazed, because you got to do tests quite often. So it was probably every month he was getting an MRI or something ridiculous. And they were always really positive in a good way. They were always getting really good results. So we were, you wouldn't say, I don't know, we were very confident that he was going to pull through, and we were always very positive about it on the outside. But, it was hard.
Yeah.
And, to get that news in December last year was bloody amazing.
Yeah.
But it's really difficult, because there's so many people out there that need to know about this. But so many people are just closed to different opportunities, which is, they just need to open their eyes, because we've still got our kid, and we'd do anything to keep him.
Yeah.
And this is not very expensive if you look at the whole scheme of things. You're saving a life. And I look back and I think we should have given him a lot more, but now he's fine.
So, so did he just take 30 mils twice a day the whole time, or did you increase it?
No, we increased it. I think that was for the first week or so, and then I think we did maybe 60 mils twice a day, and Taj is now on 120 mils twice a day.
Yeah.
But yeah, we rub the gel everywhere because it just gets into your body so well with, like, reflexology points and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And he's now on the ASEA vitamin range, the supplements.
Yeah.
And we saw a massive shift when he started doing that, because with the treatment that he had, it just wrecks you. And so we started the Vi range about February this year, March this year, and yeah, huge shift. And yeah, we've just been actually living life again.
I know. It's so awesome to have you guys in America this year. They came to the States to the conference, and yeah, how was that? How was that to take your family on a holiday to the States?
Yeah, well, it was amazing. And so it kind of started, there was no plan at all. Like, all we just wanted to do this year was get better. And I guess the business of ASEA started to build because, like, first of all, my family jumped on because they could see what was going on with us. So they jumped on board, and they're getting really good results. Some good friends have started to use it. And then, look, it's kind of blown out of proportion, to tell you the truth. So I've got like a bit of a team happening all around the world. And yeah, I just kind of looked at my back office and I'm like, wow, like, ASEA is going to pay for this trip basically, because we had enough money just to fly us all to America. And we took the plunge, and we had pretty much a month driving around. And yeah, it was really good. And then I got back and took off. We've got a really big team in some of the islands around here. So, good mate Coppo, he might be online, but yeah, we went over there, and he's back there tonight. And yeah, it's really completely changed our life, because I've got two kind of traditional businesses, and my wife does something similar to yourself. And they're good. I wouldn't say that they're bad businesses, but they take up all my time. Just always busy with that. Where this is, I just can't believe how lucky we've been to fall in to get the product. We've now got a new business, and 2020 looks pretty good, I reckon.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing your story with us, Andrew. It's always gives me goosebumps to hear it. And, like I said, it's not a one-off. There's people now all over the world, when they embrace this technology with their treatments, that's when the magic happens. And my dream is to see that happen in the world, where Eastern and Western can come together, and we can have that perfect marriage of actually getting someone to the point where they're back to living, not just struggling and living on pills and then dealing with side effects. So yeah, I encourage all of you, if you're sitting there and you're struggling, or you've got someone that is actually really, really sick, then just share them the information. Share them this video. It's recorded, so you'll have the link that'll go up in redoxdiamonds.com. And the password for that is associate with a capital A. So you can access this recording then on that YouTube. It'll also go on my YouTube channel. And people all over the world need to hear about this. But we must remember that it's not a cure. It's really just enabling the body to actually do what it's designed, and that's to live and to thrive. So we'll just spend a couple of moments here now going through the last part of the presentation. And like Andrew said, he was never looking for a business. He's got a couple of businesses. As did I, and I wasn't looking for anything more to fill up my time. I was already busy, but I could see that, imagine if, if I was to say, imagine if in 3 years' time you had the opportunity to travel the world and be sharing something that could save the health of the world and the people around you that you love. And that's really what is happening now. The best way to get a product out into the market is word of mouth. So my whole business, traditional business, is based on, go and see Sally. She'll help you with whatever problem. And that's someone telling someone. None of these other things actually work. It's all very, poster up on the wall. And I would say to people would say, why isn't this everywhere? Why isn't everyone using this? Well, it's because A, the doctor's not going to tell you, and B, it's because people are very skeptical, very closed off, and they're very stuck in their own kind of way. So the only way you're going to change out of where you're at now is if you change something, like I said. So it might not be ASEA tonight. For me, it took 9 months. I didn't believe it. But back then, 5 years ago, I didn't have all of this to go on. So You know, this is not on trial anymore. We don't need to prove it. We don't need to try and say, well, just try it. We kind of know now the result when you do what we say at the dosage that we recommend. So time and time again, doing the right thing gets a result. So doing it in conjunction with what your medical advisors are saying, you know, that's what we recommend. So it's just sharing it person to person. They have a beautiful head office that's just been built. They're well established. They have no debt. Everything is in place for this to actually boom around the world. So ASEA has opened, it's in 34 countries. Being a global traveler, I have friends all over the world. Everyone's complaining on Facebook about a health issue. They're tired, they can't sleep, their kids are sick. I simply share, have you heard of Redox? If they haven't heard it, I share my website. I tell them that they can try it, get on the product for 3 months, stay on it consistently for 3 months, track how you're feeling, because I guarantee in 3 and 6 months time, you're going to feel so much better, look so much better than you do today. They own everything as far as their manufacturing plant goes. Everything is FDA registered, NSF certified. They have the highest ratings and compliance of any factory in Utah. They are set to absolutely expand in 2020. It's their 10th anniversary, and ASEA is going big. So there's lots of really exciting things coming in the science world, and they're not going to leave anything behind. So if you're looking for an opportunity to change your health, if you're looking for a little bit of extra money, I say everyone deserves to be healthy and wealthy. And why not go in and do something that you're passionate about, and that's helping the person next door. So we're talking about Andrew's neighbor hung over the fence with a bottle of ASEA and said, mate, I think you really need to try this for your son. It's that easy. It's sharing it from person to person. If we can change ourselves and change the person next to us, imagine what the world will be like when that starts to ripple across the community and across the state and across the country, and we're going across the globe. So everyone starts in box one, and that's using the product. You can't, you know, rave about something that you don't know about and that you haven't used. So I say get yourself a tube of Renew at the very least, and start putting that gel where it hurts, or where you've got problems, or where you just don't like what you're feeling or seeing. As soon as you do that consistently for 28 days, it's called Renew 28 because it takes 28 days for the skin cells to change. And 28 is a really important number, 28 days in a month, the moon cycle. When you start to look at the number 28, it's actually a really special number. When you start to drink the liquid, same thing, it goes inside and it's starting to light up all of those cells inside of your body. You may not feel anything for the first month, sometimes even 2 months, but it's on the 3rd, 4th, and 5th month that you really start to see changes. It did take me 4 months to get my skin completely back, because my skin cycle of renewal was actually probably at 60 or 90 days, not 28 days. So now my skin is smooth and it's soft, and it's never ever been like that in my life. So you start as a consumer. You can open an account with ASEA. That's the cheapest, easiest way to get it.
Where is it?
When you have your account set up, you are then in charge of ordering it. You order it at wholesale price. It ships directly from your warehouse in your country. So from Sydney for us, into your door. It's delivered inside your house. In fact, the postman dropped it on my kitchen counter today, so I didn't actually have to carry it. And you have full control over how you order it. If you don't want it anymore, you simply delete, and it won't come to your door again. So you're not signed up into any contracts. When you get results and people start to notice how great you look, how much energy you've got, that you're actually moving house and getting through a week's worth of work, and you're out playing on the weekend and you're not crashing, then of course you're going to tell your neighbor and your friends about it. So then it's up to them to decide how long are they going to sit before they actually start to change something in their life. So when you share it, you're starting to supplement your income, because ASEA is saying thank you for sharing the product. Everyone buys it at the same price, and ASEA is giving you thank you money. And when you've got thank you money coming in, it starts to pay for your product. I've never ever seen a chemist do that. When you send a friend in to buy something, the chemist doesn't send me money for doing that. So that's the beauty of this business. Everyone's buying it at the same price, and everyone's sharing it. If you're sharing it at a big rate and you're sharing it with everyone you meet, then of course you're earning a little bit of extra money, and you're earning more money. Box 3 is where you sit when you're winning a few trips. You're telling a lot of people, and you're gathering a team, a community, and you're gathering people together who are healthy and they're starting to be wealthy. So why wouldn't you want to be in a group of really positive, upbeat, and healthy people? That's kind of what I aspire to. That's my tribe. I didn't realize when I was looking at ASEA that I was going to find my real tribe of people. So even though Andrew is not in my team, I'm excited. We're going to Bali. We won trips there in December, and we're going to hang out with Andrew and his wife. and have a really great time. So we have friends now in our team, not in our team, cross line, up line, down line, and we're one big happy ASEA family. So I invite you tonight to change something, whether it's something small and you end up in box one in some time, but don't take 9 months like I did, please. When you do that, then you simply get to share the products and enjoy a bit of health and wealth. So I see, is that Taj sitting with you there, Andrew? Hey, Taj, sorry. Oh, okay, you try and unmute yourself there, Andrew. There we go.
This is Taj.
Hi.
How are you?
Good.
That's good. You're looking pretty good there, buddy.
Yeah.
He got a new haircut the other day, so we're back to going to the hairdressers after.
Nice. And how does your head feel where that scar was? Can you touch it okay?
Yeah,
Yep.
it's fine.
Yep.
Yeah.
No pain.
There's a few all over his body, but there was one thing I forgot to say. But Taj is actually on no medication at all. He's
Wow.
just all we're doing is ASEA, and you don't ever forget to take it. Sometimes gets to wipe a bit onto his little scars and that, but yeah, he's really good with it.
So Taj, tell me when you first started taking it, what did it taste like?
Salt water?
Didn't have a yucky taste?
No, not really.
Okay, cool. Sometimes it can taste a little yucky when you're not feeling the best, so everyone's a little bit different.
Yeah, he did well. Like, he never complained about it. I don't know, has it every night. It's fine. Gets him to sleep. It's good.
Fantastic. Do you tell your friends about it?
Yes. One friend.
Yeah. My son loves to share it with his friends. He's a little, he calls himself the little ASEA secret medic at school. So when someone hurts themselves, Hayden's got the magic gel and he puts it on them secretly.
What a legend.
Yeah. Take it on school camp with you. Everyone will love you when they hurt themselves.
Oh, Taj is going to have a bit of time off school. He's just getting back into life. So we're doing a bit of homeschooling for a while.
Oh,
and yeah, just to kind of get back into living.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, you look fantastic, Taj. Thanks for coming to say hi to us.
See ya.
Bye.
All right. Bye. So that pretty much wraps up our presentation. Please go back to the person that invited you here tonight, and they will give you more information. They will show you how it is to open an account. It's $60. Then you order a pack that suits what your need is, and yeah, get the pack, get started, start drinking it, start rubbing it. It's really that easy. And dream big. You are where you are today because of the choices you made yesterday. If you keep doing what you're doing, where will you be in 5 years? I know 5 years ago, I was looking for a change and I took the plunge and I did something. So instead of asking yourself, what if it doesn't work? Ask yourself, what if it does work? Imagine if you're sitting there in a sick state, what life can really be when you're alive and living again. So my question to you is, will you say yes to your future today and make a change? Because you only have one life. And Vertus says we're all at the start of something big with great purpose. And right now is your moment that you can actually change your future and we can begin influencing the future of the world. So I want to thank Andrew for joining us tonight. Thanks for your vulnerability and sharing your story. I know it's difficult every time. It's getting easier and easier, hopefully, as Taj starts living more and more. And it's just absolutely beautiful to see so many great stories. So we do have a question. I'm going to stop the recording here. I can figure out how to do that. There we go.